Welcome back to the Painting Coach, and in this tutorial I'll show you how to paint a Black Legion Chaos Space Marine. Okay, so here we go with this member of the Black Legion. So all I've done is I've primed him with Chaos Black, then you can probably see on the palette some Abaddon Black. And I've used that to thin down, or rather I've thinned it down and then paint it all over. And the first thing we're going to do is going to paint that gold trim. Now, I'm going for a battered, coppery, brass kind of gold colour because these guys have been in the warp doing their thing for however long. So just take some Balthasar Gold. I just want to work this round and get all that trim painted. Don't worry if you make any mistakes because we can just go over it with the Abaddon Black and tidy it up. And I'm going to be doing all of the trim with this. So that's on the chainsword and the bolt pistol as well. So nice easy one to start, get that done, and then we'll come back and we'll do the silver base next. Once that Balthasar Gold trim is done, you can see it really does help the model pop a little bit better. So I mentioned we're going to do the silver base next, and we'll use Iron Hand Steel for that. And the reason I'm doing this next is we're going to shade them both at the same time, just to help us. And I've not gone in and tidied up anything yet either. I'm holding off tidying all the black up until I've got this silver down as well. So in terms of what we're looking for, we've got little bits of chainmail here. We've got the bottom of these, I'm not sure what you'd call it. I don't want to call it a tabard. It's not a tabard. There's a word for it. It may come to me at some point. But also we've got all the teeth of the chainsaw. We've got the vents on the backpack and things like that. So just work your way around, and then once you're finished with the silver and you're happy with everything that you've done, go back in with some Abaddon Black just to tidy up, and then we'll come back and we'll shade it and highlight the gold and silver next. Once we're happy with all that, we're just going to take some Nuln Oil and we're going to use this to shade all the metallics that we have just painted. So take your time and work this around, make sure it goes into all those recesses. If you do get any of it on the armour, then just see how it dries, because it may leave some tide marks, which might be a little unsightly. So use your discretion then to kind of go back in and repair some more if you want. But you don't need to watch me doing too much of this, it's just popping the Nuln Oil on. So I'll get that done, let it dry thoroughly, and then we'll come back and we'll start the highlighting. Once we're happy that the Nuln Oil is dry, we're going to highlight the gold. And like I said, we're going to make it like a bronzy battered gold, because these chaps have been skulking around the Eye of Terror for 10,000 years. And I'm going to use Sycorax Bronze for that, just a splash of water in there. Now in terms of how I'm going to paint this, so if I'm painting this kind of skull bit here, just looking to catch the edges, and this is a kind of a subtle colour. So just make sure you are happy with how it goes on. And of course there are parts where you can catch an edge. Always try to do that. So I'm just going to turn the model here, and you can see. So I'm just going to pull the brush along the edge there to create that. Same here on the shoulder pad. So I'm just checking that everything is still in focus, and it gives you a really nice easy way to do that. So work your way around all the gold, highlighting it with Sycorax Bronze, and then when we come back we'll do the silver. Highlighting the silver is pretty much identical, and we're going to use the old faithful chrome from Valeur Model Air. If you haven't got this, then you can use Stormhost Silver from Citadel, but this is just really good. Find it perfect. So in terms of how we're going to highlight the silver, we're just going to look to do it exactly the same way as we did the gold. Just looking to catch edges, silver edges on the model. Nice and straightforward. I'm just showing you across lots of different areas here how to do that, because it just speeds up the highlighting process. So work your way around the model, get all that done, and then when we come back, I think we'll make a start on some of the leather parts. We'll do the leather next, and there's not much on this particular model, but we're gonna go for a muted leather, a little bit of Dryad Bark, not too watered down, just a splash, and we're just going to use this here on these bits hanging down. We're also going to use it on the belt there. Obviously, don't forget to paint it on the back side as well. When you've got it finished, you can go back in and put the studs in. But just get that done, and then when we come back, we'll give it a quick little highlight next. The highlight for that is just going to be a little bit of Gorthor Brown. So I've not thinned this down. I'm just relying on the wet palette to keep it nice and thin for me. And again, we just want to use a nice sharp edge just to pick out the edges of this leather, taking our time not to stray too far. Make sure that we're catching the edges and giving those highlights. So just work your way around with this Gorthor Brown, and that's the leather done. If you want to go in with a lighter colour to add some scratches, feel free, but I'm pretty happy with that. So get that done, and we'll do some of the accents next. Now, in terms of accents, we're going to put some red on first, and then we're going to, obviously we've got the eyes, etc. to do the eyes of Horus. So for the red accent, I'm going to use Mephiston Red. Now, when I look at the Chaos range, a lot of them have got kind of little red tabards and things, and you can use this for them. On this model, we're just going to paint these kind of extra bits here where we've got the, I don't want to call it hair, but it may well be hair, but just this kind of tassel coming out here. And also just this little thing that's just holding the knife onto the belt as well, just to give us some interest across the model. So get those based with Mephiston Red, and then we'll come back and we'll give them the little shade next. When that Mephiston Red is dry, just take a little bit of Nuln Oil, not too much, and we just want to paint it over so that it gets into the recesses. I've added a little bit more around the model, just like on some of the pipes, just to give me a bit more to play with. So just get that done, let it dry, and then we'll give it a nice little highlight next. Once we're happy that the Mephiston, it's not the Mephiston Red, sorry, the Nuln Oil is dry, the Mephiston Red's underneath, we're just going to take some Evil Sunz Scarlet, which is it's going to bring the brightness back to this. But we're just looking to paint it along the kind of the raised parts, and there will be some which stick out that you can just pull the brush along nice and easily like that. So get that done, and then we'll come back and we'll make a start on things like the teeth that we've got everywhere, and also the eye that we've got right in the middle there. We'll do those next. The colour we want to use to base all these is Wraithbone. Now, I've got a fairly new pot, shaken quite well, so I've not added any water to it. But one thing I will say is, obviously, firstly identify all the bits. There's going to be a lot of teeth sticking out of these Chaos models like this. So we want to paint them. And we also want to paint the eye, or any eyes of Horus or Chaos eyes that you have on the model. Just take your time with them. You may need to give them 2 coats, but I'm not going to spend too much time showing you how to do this, because depending on the model you're painting, it may be totally different. But just make sure you catch all these big horns, and there's lots of little teeth on the legs and things like that as well, poking out. So get those done, and then we'll come back and we'll add some colour to them next. The first colour I'm going to use is for the eye itself, and this is just the Iyanden Yellow straight from the pot, and all I'm going to do is just paint it over. And that's straight away, you've got that lovely yellow eye that is the mark of all of Chaos. So let that dry, and then we'll do the teeth next. So for the teeth and horns, we're going to use a similar technique, but we're going to use Skeleton Horde contrast paint for this. And essentially all we're looking to do is paint all of them in their entirety with Skeleton Horde. So again, don't be afraid to move the model around. Just make sure I'm still in focus there, so you can see it. Now when that's dry, one thing I am going to do is I'm going to add more Skeleton Horde towards the tip. Now if you want, you can always go and sort of highlight with some more Wraithbone once it's all dry, which I might do. But just remember, we'll do Skeleton Horde, and then once that's dry, we'll put some more towards the tip just to darken it down and give the impression of growth in age. Just before we get on to the armour, I just want to take some very thin Abaddon Black off the palette, just to show you how to do this eye. So what you want to do is you want to find the middle, and just draw a nice thin black line down it, and then just curve it out either side just to give the impression of that eye like that. Again, nice and easy, straightforward. So we'll do the armour next. That'll be the last thing we do apart from the eyes. When it comes to the armour, we're going to start off with some Incubi Darkness. Now we've thinned this a little bit on the palette. And in the main, we're looking to just kind of catch any edges that we can to start with. So if we look at the chainsword, for example, we can catch that edge, and then we can also catch the blade edge. Again, don't be afraid to turn your models if that helps you. And then for other areas, you know, if we look at the feet here, we can't catch an edge, but we can just make sure we've got a good point on our brush, and that'll help us work our way around. So we're looking for all the edges with the Incubi Darkness. Be tidy, but it's a thick highlight, so we're going to put a thinner highlight on underneath it. So just work your way around the model doing that, and then we'll come back with the thin highlight next. One thing I didn't think of actually is with the Chaos Marines, obviously they've got a lot of gold trim on their armour. So one thing I didn't think to tell you is to just make sure where you can is to paint inside the trim. So just looking to paint inside that trim, and just, again, don't be massively tidy with the Incubi Darkness, because we'll add some definition later on, but just thought I'd remind you or let you know that, because I forgot to tell you first time round, and then we'd have come back together with totally different looking models. So when it comes to the final highlight, we're just going to use some Thunderhawk Blue. Now this is a rank and file trooper. If this is a HQ or a character model, then you can push the highlights again with a bit of Fenrisian Grey as a last highlight. But essentially we're looking to do exactly the same thing again, where we can, we're looking to catch edges. So you can see there that that's nice and straightforward. Similarly along this back line here, just taking your time to get that in. And then where we've got the internal highlights, so on the leg for example here, we just want to be really careful and just draw some nice thin lines with this Thunderhawk Blue inside the previous highlight, so that we get that nice effect. So all we're doing is we're working our way around the model, getting those highlights in. Once you finish that, we're pretty much done. We've just got the eyes to do, so we'll get this done, do the eyes next. So for the eyes, I'm just going to use a little bit of white scar now. A little bit on my palette. I've not thinned it down. The reason I haven't is because it's fairly thin anyway. And essentially what we're looking to do with the eyes is we're looking to just paint them with the white scar. Just let it into that eye socket there. I'll do the other one off cam because I'm not going to be able to get my brush in there in a way that you can see it anyway. But get those both done. If you need to do a second coat, do so. And then we'll just fill them in with a glow next. Getting that glow is fairly straightforward. You just want to take some Blood Angels Red contrast paint, not too much at all, and we just want to move it over that white of the eye, and you can see there that it gives a decent colour, decent glow, both sides. Make sure we're in focus there. And that's the Black Legionnaire done, so let's have a look at him on the turntable next. So there we have it. This Black Legion Chaos Space Marine is done and ready to take the tabletop alongside his traitorous brethren. I really hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. If you did, please leave a like and a comment down below. It really does help me with the channel to make sure that I'm providing the content that you guys do want to see. If you would like to support me and the channel, then you can do so using the links in the description. There's a link to my Patreon where you get exclusive access to me, monthly live question and answer session, as well as some exclusive content. There's a link for Goblin Gaming where you can get up to 20% off all your wargaming needs. And there's also the link for Amazon where you can see some of my recommended equipment. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.